Cheers.
Cheers. Hi, I'm Scott Derrickson. I'm the director of Doctor Strange. Welcome to my new show that I didn't know I had until about 30 seconds ago.
Hi, Scott.
Hi.
Hello, Scott.
It's Mads Mikkelsen and Benedict Cumberbatch, both
Hi.
of them in the movie Doctor Strange. Welcome, guys.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to my show.
Thank you, Scott.
It's a pleasure.
So tell me about the director of Doctor Strange.
He's called Scott Derrickson, and he bears a striking resemblance to you.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a list of questions here. I'm gonna get right into these, and then we're gonna take questions, I believe, from our viewer audience, the Facebook viewer audience. To both of you,
Yes.
joining the Marvel Universe and taking on the role of a supervillain, fans have high expectations. What was the first thought that went through your head when you got the role?
The superhero thing I liked.
I do
Superhero.
too.
Yeah, because
Kind of-
I
Actually,
consider
you're-
myself a
you're-
mixed
That's
man.
the
You are
next level of the genre. That's how we're going to evolve this.
We made a
We're gonna have
supervillain
a
movie.
supervillain movie.
Yeah. In fact,
He's a hero. He's a villain. He's a supervillain. It's perfect.
I loved it.
I did too.
I loved everything about it. I grew up with the Marvel comics, and I later on I watched all the films. And I think that 2016 was the time where we could put Doctor Strange on the big screen, because before that, they simply didn't have the magic for it, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what they've managed to achieve. And I came at it at a different way. I came at it through the films, really, the comic world. And I played a very fast game of catch-up, but led by our interviewer and someone who's not here, Kevin Feige, who's also a sorcerer supreme and a master of the fandom and understanding just the rich depths of the original comic books. I felt I was in very good authoritative hands, so yeah.
okay, Matt, I got a question for you. Not the first time you've played, quote, a baddie, but how is Caecilius different to other villains you played before?
He does flying kung fu.
Yeah.
Among other things. I mean, a good villain has to have a purpose. He has to have a goal that we can relate to somehow. And I think that, in all honesty, that to make the world a better place and make sure everybody gets eternal life, I think that's a pretty good goal.
Now, the first time that Mads and I spoke on the phone, I was trying to talk about this
That's true.
aspect of the character, and which I think makes the role compelling. But when I mentioned that he gets to fight kung fu type fighting,
Yeah.
Mads said, "That's all you got to say. I'm going to do it."
But that's
you
the
were
thing.
very excited about that.
Exactly.
So here's my question for you: was it satisfying to do it?
Absolutely.
Was it as satisfying as you thought?
Yeah, I mean, all the
It looked
fights.
painful.
It's painful. It's tough, and we hurt each other. But I think there was not one day where we left the studio without a big smile on our
Yeah,
faces.
it's so much fun. I mean, it's the kind of endeavour it is a sort of dream come true in that sense. It really is.
But it's harder than you thought, right? Physically more
It's
difficult.
made for
amount
smaller
of it is
people.
hard. Yeah,
You know,
the amount of it is
yeah.
hard, and I think but what's extraordinary about it is that you have the very best people in the world helping you, whether they're kung fu fight coordinators from Hong Kong movie industry, or whether they're stunt guys that have worked with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or wire workers who've done everything from Cirque du Soleil right through to Spider-Man. You've got a lot of help along the way, and when you're working with someone as brilliant as him, your game is constantly we were trying to make it better and better, weren't we?
Yeah.
And make it work and make it practical, but also he was a great gentleman as well as being effortlessly cool with it.
I just did the DVD commentary before coming to Europe for the press tour, and in the Sanctum fight, when you guys were fighting, I made special note of the moment when Mads flies up on the wire and you first engage. At the
I thought you were going to say you dubbed it really badly.
And I did. I did. The whole commentary is nothing but a bad dub.
I love it.
Sorry, I joked.
My God, I gotta fly back and do it again. That's
What did you say?
But that was the first stunt we did, yeah.
Yeah,
the
it
first
was.
physical stunt we did, and it was tricky and
Really
stairs
hard.
and
He had to
jumping
fly
on
up
thing,
at a really
kicking
weird
you.
angle, touch on the rail, come down,
Yeah.
go straight into the fight.
And that was the point I was making, was
Yeah.
to look at how long the shot was. That there was no body double, there was no special effects in that other than the wire removal.
Right.
Everything else was just you guys
One
had to be
take,
trained to do that and actually make contact, and you actually kicked him. It's clear
did.
right there in camera.
Yeah, he deserved it.
Yeah, just
But
just
but
went
it
for
is it is crazy fun that you are actually being paid to do something that people would have to pay for.
Yeah.
To get an experience like that.
Yeah.
Professional people out there with wires, and they taught you everything, and you flip around and you land on your feet.
Yeah, it's
sometimes.
one of the privileges of our job, isn't it? It really is, to be able to do that and know that it's been test driven by the experts so that there's a degree of safety, and there's always enough risk for it to be thrilling. But it's a real privilege.
Now, one of my jobs as a director is to control the tone of a movie overall. You guys have one of my 4 favorite scenes. All 4 of my favorite scenes in the movie are dialogue scenes between 2 characters. You and Rachel in the fight scene have your first and last scene with Tilda, and your dialogue scene with Mads. I've been on record in numerous interviews saying those are more than the visual effects scenes, those are my 4 favorite scenes to watch in the movie. When you are doing those kinds of scenes, like with Rachel, when you are having the dialogue scene, when you really espouse what your philosophy is, did you ever feel like tonally you may not want to make it all as serious as you did? Because I don't ever remember directing you to do that. I just, as we shot it, it all had weight. It all felt very realistic. I didn't feel like I was shooting characters that were in a comic book movie. Each of those scenes feels like it could belong in an indie drama, the way they're performed.
I think that's the fine balance always, right? I mean, we should not be aware of what we're in the midst of. Right. Somehow we have to take everything serious. Whether it becomes funny because of the surroundings or whether it becomes serious is a different thing. Yeah. But approach it with a great amount of seriousness.
Yeah, that's true.
But at the same time, you also have to be aware that we're in a Marvel film. So, but obviously, that's the balance you have to keep. But we should, at the same time as being aware of it, we should also float away and just immerse ourselves into the project. Right?
Biggest surprise for you seeing the finished film, which you didn't see until
the Thursday of the LA premiere.
Yeah, Thursday night you saw it for the first time.
I did.
And what was the biggest surprise? And you can go both good and bad. I won't take it personally, and I don't even mind being on the record for it. I want to know what was most surprising to you, because you certainly had a lot of expectations and a lot of you knew what movie we filmed, but when you see it for the first time, it's got to be surprising.
Well, quite sort of how heroic he is by the end was probably one of my biggest surprises. That journey is really earned. And I don't just mean the moment where he throws the cloak on before the argument in the Sanctum, but also by the very end, that chosen loneliness, not something he's locked into because he's a materialistic egotist at the beginning, but because he's actually going, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and it is going to be lonely, but I'm going to do it for a greater purpose. And I was really satisfied with that, that all held together, and that's kudos to you as well as anything that we did on the day for directing the edit and the pattern and the kind of tone of the movies to that point, and that being the conclusion for the film. But how can I not say the visual effects? Because whatever you're doing on the day, however organised the previous, however detailed your explanation of the environment, the changes that we or some other character are creating in that environment, you never have any idea quite how beautiful it's going to get. And I think this is a new step forward in cinema, let alone in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I just sat there being profoundly moved by some of the beauty of it. Yeah. And it's trippy and it's funny and it's dark and humorous, all the things it should be, but it's really profoundly beautiful. And I was surprised at being moved at that, actually moved when he's getting that sort of brief glimpse, that enlightened glimpse into the multiverse. And that feeling watching it, thinking, this is sort of synesthetic. We're trying to do something in a visual language, which Shakespeare say did with words, which is to unlock parts of the human condition or understanding of what the limits of a human condition are by showing something else. But it's still light and colour and things with sense. But somehow there's a sort of poetry to it.
And all of that starts with an awareness that we are too limited in the ways that we use these tools. It was for me, going in, recognizing that so often these huge visual effects budgets are used to create the same kinds of mass destruction in different ways. And it's almost like you get in the habit of that, and there's an expectation for that from the audience, and there's an expectation from the studios that that's what you're going to do. Yeah. And to break out of it, one of the reasons, honestly, that I'm really rooting for the movie to do really well financially is so that other studios will feel bolder to
take a risk,
to take more risks, to use these amazing, expensive tools that we have in these incredible visual effects companies to be creative instead of just
because it's a proper advancement. It's a proper advancement, not just mind blowing for an audience and a sort of one off. It's contextualized properly within the drama. It touches on something that's massively important to the film.
Biggest surprise for you seeing it finished?
Yeah, I gotta say the same. Obviously, the journey of Doctor Strange is wonderful to watch. I read it. I had a hunch what you were doing, but I'm not in the film constantly. I don't necessarily know how you're going to approach every scene.
Yeah.
It's just a wonderful, wonderful, strong character, and you're doing an amazing job. So,
very much.
enough of that. But what I wanted to add, because I was a fan of the comic books, and I remember I could not grasp the philosophy of it. I was 7, 8 years when I read it, right?
Yeah.
But I do vividly remember that the colors, the magic, and the way that from page to page they were starting to do it as a graphic novel, you know, continuating to the next page.
Yeah.
And I was amazed of how you guys captured that universe and put it up there. So as you say, it's not just mass destruction. You placed a creative pen up there that was completely different than anything I've ever seen.
This is great. Somehow I'm interviewing you and getting you guys to talk about me.
Isn't
this
it
is
good?
working so well.
That's the trick of any good interview.
Yeah,
good
exactly.
director as well.
It's
Knows how to
the
get
message
the
of the
right
movie.
thing
It's all about you. Wait, is that right? No, that's not it. It's close to that. It's something like that.
I think if you reverse the poster, it says that.
Who has the best facial hair, Iron Man or Doctor Strange?
Hell me.
No kidding.
They burn. They're the same bomb. It's a tight call.
It's brutal.
Also, no, I do go through wonderful passages
I think
of
the
facial
answer
hair. Do
is
you know what I mean?
Ethan Hawke's Sinister.
That is definitely the right answer.
That's just my answer.
Plug for another Scott Derrickson film.
What are you at? You telling me to keep going, or we're done? That's it.
Out of here. They've cut
That's
us off.
great. Thank you for these cards that I didn't use. No questions from the viewers. None of that. That's it. We're done. It's a wrap.
All right.
I love both of you dearly. I hope that we make
I think
17
it's already
more
done.
of these
Are we
movies.
gone, or is it still going? Oh, it's still going. I'm sorry. You were.
I thought we were done.
And Dino.
Okay, so this is a wrap.
He's wrapping up.
I love both of you dearly. I hope that we make 17.
Let's make more
of these.
interview magic like this, please.
We are live on Facebook on Joe.ie with Mr. Benedict Cumberbatch. This is really exciting. If you want to ask a question of Benedict, all you need to do is write it in the comments. We don't have much time, so get writing those questions now. Benedict, thanks so much for joining us here.
Hello,
this is exciting
pleasure.
on Facebook Live.
I know. Hello, Facebook Live.
It's the future. We're in the future.
We are part of it.
I gotta get straight into Doctor Strange. Let's be honest, he's a bit of a dick. So
He's quite arrogant at the beginning, isn't he?
as an actor, who do you model that dickishness on? Because you nailed it, I thought.
You no.
Me, thank you. They love that.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you know, he's a complicated dick. He kind of, you know, he's brilliant at what he does. But I think that entitlement, because he's worked hard to get there. He's a self-made man, and whatever he achieves is of his own back. I think that's given him the entitlement that makes him a bit of a prick. But he certainly has his comeuppance, and I think he has, you know, some respect by the end.
Yeah, it's a...
His dickishness is mildened by the kind of hoops he jumps through.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and obviously when you watch the movie, you totally understand that.
He's got a good sense of humour as well.
He does.
As far as dicks go, he's not a bore. He's fun to be around.
It's kind of some dad jokes in there, like that's
Some
kind of his
dad
preserve,
jokes,
isn't it?
yeah. And that's a bit slightly more sophisticated than dad jokes.
Dad
but yeah.
goatee as well, maybe a little bit.
In what sense is that a dad goatee?
I'm thinking David Brent, a touch of Brent on the goatee, but I think you obviously were more
it's
distinguished.
anything but David Brent. But anyway, yeah, maybe this is actually the job I stole from Ricky Gervais. Yeah, I've done it again. Sorry, Ricky.
The questions are coming in here on
Yeah.
Facebook. They've been coming in all morning. Tallulah Beefcakes, which is an awesome name.
It's a
superhero name in itself.
It's a really wonderful name.
Asks, what would Doctor Strange do to Donald Trump?
That is a good question. I was just thinking make him disappear. It's that simple. Be gone with you. Yeah, off you go.
Tony Sheridan on Facebook asks...
Yes, that's a very nice name.
Tony Sheridan, it's less
Great name.
superheroes. Would you rather
Shane's
have
great name.
legs as long as your fingers or fingers as long as your legs? It's one of those. Legs as long as your fingers, fingers as long as your legs.
Legs as long as your fingers, or fingers as long as your legs. That's the same thing, isn't it?
Legs as long as your fingers, fingers as long as your... No, you've got really long fingers or really short legs.
Really short legs. I
Finger-like
see what you're
legs
saying.
or
Sorry,
leg-like
that's kind of
fingers.
that's kind of a magical mystery tour question. I would definitely say, yeah. The first.
Okay, the first.
Why not?
Whichever one that was.
I just going to be interesting. isn't it?
Fingers as long as your legs. I've got to
Little
ask you.
Quadruped again.
I've got to ask you with the cape and beard. We did mention the cape
Yeah.
and beard. Will you be holding on to them for Halloween?
Yeah, no, the cloak is rather. He's floating or she's floating somewhere in a glass box somewhere, having a well-earned holiday, and it's a contractual issue. I can't break the terms of its employment, so
Understood.
it's going to
That's fair
remain.
enough.
It's going to remain floating there.
Now we spoke to Scott earlier on, and he told us that Doctor Strange will definitely be in Infinity War.
Yeah, that's true.
What
I
can
can't
we
say
expect?
that. That again is a question probably for Scott or Kevin Feige. I can't.
Okay.
I can't say.
You're sworn to secrecy.
Kind of, yeah. Don't want to spoil it either.
Contract. Well, that's fair enough. Now in Ireland, we still haven't fully forgiven you for sliding our Supreme Leader 2 years ago on the red carpet at the Oscars. You photobombed Bono.
That was a mark of respect. If you got a photobomb, a super.
So obviously, there's Scott. There
you
is.
go. That was actually a request from a fan of them.
Really?
A friend of mine who said, "Can you get a photo with you too?" So I thought, yeah,
Okay.
sure, I'll be obliging.
Well, we did some journalism, and we actually
You
found
do journalism.
We did some journalism,
Wow,
believe it or
really
not.
First, this is the future.
And we found that there's actually a trend of you photobombing Irish celebrities.
Yes, there it is.
There he is.
The cutout. He's everywhere.
Photobombing, if you can see that, Conor McGregor there at his press conference. Why did you do that?
Knowingly photobomb him, I don't think. I was just, I was feeling itchy.
You were feeling itchy. Okay, well that's just the first. Mrs. Doyle from Father Ted. I don't know why
They're very
you
good
would.
cakes, and there's a lot of sugar in them, and they make you hyper. And it's a very small box to be kept in for a whole day.
Yeah, go on.
I did.
You did.
And I'm sure I will.
Here you are photobombing the Irish team managers Roy Keane and
What
Martin
wasn't to
O'Neill.
enjoy about that moment,
You do look really happy there as well.
Bromance. Yeah. So do they. They look like a
This is
kiss
you-
for a long time.
Photobombing Bosco.
Gomming. Photogomming.
Gomming, it's like bombing, but it's slightly
It's
different.
look, no hands. It proves that Bosco's real.
Bosco is real. He's one of a
But
legendary
that's just
Irish
to prove
puppet.
it. There are cynics out there. Do you know what I mean?
What did you say
No
to Bosco?
hands.
What did you say to Bosco just before you've done that, or just afterwards?
I said your box has very poor insulation, mate. You need to sort that out. Your personal hygiene isn't what it should be.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks
you.
to all the people who have commented on Facebook. Obviously in 6 or 7 minutes we've only got so much time, but so many questions, and you can watch it back again and again. Thank you so much,
That's
Benedict,
all right.
for
That's
this.
fun.
On Facebook Live, the first for Joe.ie, first for Irish Publishers, first for Benedict maybe, and first for
Definitely
myself.
for me. Yeah. Well done.
Doctor Strange is in cinemas, and let's have a look at the action.